Welcome, my name is Rich, and this is a laid-back Let's Play of Star Wars The Old Republic. In this Let's Play, I will be doing such things as talk and play at medium level. What sort of things will I talk about, you ask? Well, whatever happens to pop into my head is the answer. Usually it's stuff about the game, about where I think it's drawn inspiration from, bits and pieces that I know about the lore, jokes, wordplay, or snark at the expense of stupid characters, like usually Sith and villains. I'm pretty scathing about them. I also talk about the moral and ethical positions that the game places you in. Apologies for that. Because there are occasions where I think what I think is the correct thing to do doesn't match up with what the game thinks is the light side thing to do. And I'm trying to play Guhe as a light side character. She's well on her way. A few dark side points from early on. But not as neutral as I think I was expecting to end up being when I started out. Because the options I was given tended to be pretty starkly good or evil. There are occasions where my personal morality is that, you know, information should be shared, that kind of thing. But the game seems to think that keeping certain things secret is the correct thing to do. I think that's not something that you can come down on absolutely one way or the other. I think it depends. Oh, hey, welcome, Shaman Boy. Missions give you so many alignment points that it's essentially impossible to be neutral. Could you not carefully balance the good and the evil, the light and the dark points that you were getting, so that you were keeping your, like, even if you bumped yourself up quite a long way, could you not bump yourself back down again? So, like, not that you always remain neutral, but that you were sort of hovering around the middle point. Bouncing backwards and forwards between... Yeah, you can toggle it every now and then. Yeah, because I've been mostly making light side choices, so of course my score has been going up and up. But every time I had one of those choices, or almost every time, there were occasions where it was either no alignment shift or light side alignment shift. But even in those cases, like, you could just pick the one that doesn't alter your alignment at all, if you're trying to game the system and remain as neutral as possible. But yeah, that's what you have to do if you want your Sith Inquisitor to get a certain cool title, since it requires neutral alignment. That sounds tricky, if it's as difficult as you say to maintain a neutral alignment. I imagine it's as long as your score is within a certain threshold, or either way, not like your score has to be 0. But yeah. How does it play when you're playing on the Sith side, the Empire side, and you're only making good choices? It's not so tricky. The neutral threshold is quite large. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I think I was neutral for a while. And that's the first level of good. That's the first level of evil. You can just about see there's little lines here. and it looks like the third level is larger than the previous two. I don't know what's beyond this. I assume you can only go so far up that way. Well, the story changes to a certain extent if you're being nice on the Imperial side. Oh, does it? Okay. I mean, I know I have had the option during playthrough as a consular to kill the Jedi Masters that I've been trying to stop being evil, and I'm assuming... I mean, I've not killed any of them so far. I've saved all of them. Sith Warrior as a light side character is actually my favourite story in the game. Oh, cool. So, I'm assuming that all of them are going to turn up again at some point, and if I'd killed all of them, what could have happened with bringing them back would be impossible. So I'm assuming that there'll be some kind of payoff for making that choice, even if it's just like wandering around a temple somewhere and seeing them all dotted around and maybe, fingers crossed, getting little conversations with them. That's the kind of thing I'd expect from a lesser game, but Bioware seems to be quite good at giving you rewards for your choices. Just the fact that there is a payoff for not murdering them. Cool. Just the fact that it's asking you to make so many choices would suggest to me that there'll be some kind of payoff for them at length. So I'm curious about playing as a Sith. How much evil do you have to do because of the story, because you're forced into it, versus how much you get to choose to do by conversation choices and like choosing not to kill people or to kill people who are fully committed to the Sith side and would be pretty bad if they were left running around, but you can clean up. Because I am curious about the story side, but playing as an evil character, as the story requires, is a very bad feeling to me. I don't enjoy it. For example, playing through the villain storyline, what there is of story in DCUO, you don't have to be very evil at all. Oh, cool, okay. Because playing through the villain side on DCUO, well, in DCUO you don't really get any choices except for what your character looks like and what powers you get. And I guess how you play the game. Like, you can choose between powers or combos or a balance, depending on how you prefer playing. But you can't make alterations to the story. You don't get choices, like you don't get dialogue options. So playing as an evil character on villain side gave me an icky feeling. I didn't enjoy it. It was mitigated somewhat by the fact that you weren't as evil as you probably could have been playing as a villain. You also, if you've played both sides, you get the feeling that the villains do something, and then the heroes come in and fix whatever it was that they've done. So, doing the villain stuff, that whatever damage you're doing will get undone and fixed by the heroes coming along and after you. Both Sith classes were certainly written with the light side path in mind. Even the companions differ slightly depending on your choices. So you get different companions, or do they like react differently to you because of your choices? Also, another thing, you can roleplay, but you can't make roleplay choices in the story in DCUO. But I was playing the villain side as I'd chosen the Joker as my mentor, and I called my character Joke Android 9000 after there are Joke Androids in the game created to look like the Joker, give sound bites that sound like him, but built basically by another villain called Tio Morrow. And I had headcanoned, I was role-playing him in my head and on stream as having just been programmed. He was a robot. He didn't have any choice. He wasn't like fully sapient. Jerk Android 9000. He was just doing as he was told with no moral input, which mitigated playing as a villain and going around killing, essentially support workers for the hero side. You spend some time as a Joker villain going around and killing the Gotham PD, the GCPD, which is also helped by the fact that the GCPD are hilariously corrupt. So any of the police that I was subduing, defeating, killing, odds are most of them were on the take. And personally, I don't really have much of a problem playing a game where I beat up on American police. But that's just me. Anyway, we're 10 minutes in and I haven't started doing things. So let's talk to Alec Terrell and hand in this quest. Yes, the heirlooms. That's what I was protecting. Not all the people working for you, but the heirlooms. Yeah. Is this? No, it's not her. It's over here. Oh yeah, this is the mission for over here, isn't it? Protect the people blowing up the broadcast pylons. So that's repeatable, and I've done that, so I don't need to do it again. Murdering individual police officers does not sound like a very efficient method of causing havoc and terror. Well, no, but given the scale of things, you can kill a lot of them very quickly. And also, you get, like, one of the missions that you get from the Joker is to pick up some explosives and take them over to police cars and basically turn them into bomb traps. What else do you do? There's an end game piece of story that you can do, which I actually did do on one of my streams, so you could probably find it. You run around. I was doing this as hero side rather than villain. I only did as much villain side as I absolutely had to get the story done. I didn't do any of the end game stuff as a villain. Partially because, as far as I could tell, it was basically the same whichever side you were on. You run around and strap explosives to gang members who are in a gang war. I think you only strap explosives to the Riddler's gang members, but I don't remember. And that was pretty horrible. I tried to do as little of that as I could manage, but it wasn't always obvious when you were running up to someone to interact with them what exactly it was you were going to end up doing to them. Sometimes it was just putting them in handcuffs or pitching them into the Gotham River, maybe. But sometimes it was strap explosives to them, which was a questionable thing to put in a game, quite honestly. I feel like the game is lagging a bit. That won't be fun to try and sort out. Aha, this is where the eggs are. Why Why have the insects left their eggs around in clusters out here? Should they not be inside their hives where they can be protected? And destroying eggs apparently doesn't require the Jedi forward flip with the lightsaber out. It's just a small kick with 1 foot. This absolutely does not make any sense. Insects don't leave their eggs lying around outside, unguarded outside their hives. They should be inside the hives. I mean, it would be difficult to actually access them, I suppose, if they were inside the hive. If they were doing this realistically, they'd be heavily guarded. You'd have to fight your way into the hive through layers of warrior insects, like protective guard insects. Very unpleasant that this is squishing as much as it is as well. I have to hope that it's just mud, that this is just like muddy earth, but it's probably insect ooze of some kind or another. So I mean, I kind of understand why they haven't done the eggs realistically. There's also the issue of if they were doing it realistically, they'd have to Jedi Knight face. Okay, they'd have to find a way of modeling interiors to all of these hives that you could run around in, which is just more work. So I understand why, but it just feels lazy. Everything else about the way that the game is set up feels pretty good. I mean, the zones are a bit small. It is a bit weird that the Palace to Spaceport is right next door to House Organa. And there are other small idiosyncrasies that stand out a bit, but broadly the game is pretty good at making you feel like, oh yeah, I mean, that makes sense. There are plenty of hive interiors modeled. You get to see them in the Imperial Agent storyline. The zones are a bit small, but to balance there are a lot of them. Yeah, fair enough. I would at least expect the destruction of the eggs to attract some Killik to attack you. They should be spicy mad about it. Is it just me, or do these guys look like the ants from the Woody Allen film Ants? Not quite the same. But similar. Killiks really should be mad, considering all their brains are linked together somehow. Yeah, that's true. They should be aware. I mean, they obviously can't model the response of an actual hive mind, because you just get swarmed. And the standard in MMOs is to have enemies stand around in small areas where they spawn and not really move around much. Occasionally you'll have a patrol sometimes, but not a huge amount. So, I mean, it makes sense that you don't just immediately get mobbed by every single enemy within, visual distance. Because that also wouldn't be fun. Surprised the Killick don't assault this, pain room. Or pain factory. Wonder what it is that the Imperials are doing to protect themselves that the Killicks can't manage to overcome. We let you out. Why are you coming over and go at us? Cut that out. Where's the lootable, clickable thing? Oh, there we go. That was a bit weird. Wonder why it's floating there. That really would be fun, except like half of the classes can't handle being swarmed. I guess it would be fun if you were a tank. Yeah. But I don't think it would be fun as a squishy Jedi Sage. Like, if they were building this as a genuinely massively multiplayer game that forces you to play with other people, I guess that they could do an event like that and expect people to be in teams that probably could handle a certain amount of swarming or Zerg rushing. Oh, cool. I got a thing. Collar Designs Magnapulse Focus. So is this an industrially created force focus? Is that what that is? Other MMOs do have events that, get started and swarm you with enemies. They're just usually very specific about it, and the enemies that spawn are a special type of enemy that's a lot weaker, just to make sure that you don't get endlessly killed over and over because your character can't manage. Does Champions Online do it? Yes, kind of. Where did they get guns from? They were just inside holding cells. Did they get left in the holding cell with the guns? Maybe we're supposed to assume that they picked them up off the felled Imperials. Champions Online, yeah, Champions Online does have swarming enemies occasionally. You go up to something during a quest, or yeah, during quests. You know that it'll happen. to City of Heroes. DCUO doesn't. It's not that imaginative. DCUO doesn't really have moments where you need to survive for a certain amount of time against enemies. It's always like, go here, beat up a certain number of people, interact with a certain number of objects that are flashing. Now that I think about it, one of the operations does have a swarm boss that's really quite hard. Oh, cool. DCO is creative and fun with its combat, I think. I mean, it's not the first to do combos in combat and action combat, but it feels good to play, in my opinion. Certainly some weapon and power combos are better than others. I don't particularly like the combos for bows or rifles or staffs. But there are lots of weapons, and other people, for example, really, really enjoy staff and bow. So it's not like it's an absolute. It's objective, it's subjective, not objective. Oh, the ground is shaking. I wonder what that's about. It always amazes me when enemies in the game will just charge into melee with a Jedi. Combat vibroblade or energy weapon drawn. Like, do none of them know anything about the abilities and rumored power of Jedi? DCO combat sounds somewhat similar to New World. I've not played any New World. I would need to refresh my memory about what New World is. I watched a bunch of Lazy Peon videos about MMOs, trying to find new ones to play, and I've tried a bunch of them and not really enjoyed the ones that I've tried. But this is the older ones. New World is Amazon's new MMO RPG thing. Yeah. Is it third person, kind of clunky combat? Or at least New World. I think it was kind of clunky when when Lazy Peon played it months ago. I've kind of fallen out of watching Lazy Peon's videos because he had a few that were promoting blockchain cryptocurrency. It's a very classic MMORPG, third person and all. The combat doesn't really seem clunky compared to classic MMOs. Fair enough. Yeah, I'd need to re-watch his video on New World to really refresh my memory about what New World is, but the MMO I'm looking forward to is Ashes of Creation. I wonder if that's even helpfully positioned. Will we get anyone coming close to it to blow it up next to? How's it going, chaps? What an incredible reaction time they've got. Ashes of Creation looks great, just looks a bit too grindy for my tastes. Fair enough. I'm not... Yeah, I'd need to watch more recent stuff on Ashes of Creation, but as long as it's not as grindy as Warframe, I'll be able to enjoy it. I'm not really one for grinding myself, but I can endure a certain amount of it if the rest of the game is fantastic. New World looks incredibly similar, but a bit more casual. Okay. Yeah, these guys did not react with any kind of professionalism or speed. I noticed that the alarm has stopped going off already. It's probably because they've realised that I've wiped out the entire rest of their forces inside the base. Yes, only now do you start pointing your gun at the Jedi who has decided to walk within melee range of you. Super smart guy, this Ulgo Commando. Can we please not get attacked by the Killiks? Nope, okay, they're gonna go for it. We're here to stop you from getting tortured. Do you reckon you could leave the people who are rescuing you alone? Or is that too much to ask? Yeah, I mean, I know that this is the Jedi thing to say, but I don't actually have very much sympathy for the Killiks. No, don't continue to torture them. That's not what that was at all. Crazy fuck. Yes, my decision to not continue torturing sentient life forms is all about me. What a brain-dead thing for someone to say. Could just shuttle out, couldn't I? That'd be a good idea, wouldn't it? Wait, is that going to the right area? Yes, because the other one is there. Good to see you too. This woman is immoral. Oh, you're willing to bury our differences that were caused entirely by you. Don't be so surprised. The entire Alderaan population has a combined 7 brain cells which they use to memorize all their ridiculous traditions. Fair enough. Traditions are just peer pressure from dead people. Wonder why stims that you can buy at various places around the maps vary so much. I mean, oh, never mind. Seems like he's still writhing in pain, but okay. Where's it next? Take this Flappy Bird thing, taxi, to somewhere. Okay. I can do that. Do these things have names? Or are they just... Oh no, they're kind of lizards, aren't they? I was thinking they're a bit like sky dolphins. But it looks like they're scaly. Based on... Well, maybe not. I thought that there was a sort of a scale pattern. Around the mouth. But I don't think so. I haven't been looking at the scenery, have I? But how do they stay aloft? It's not flapping enough to be staying aloft just from that. It's got to be buoyant on its own. And buoyant enough to have a saddle fitted and to carry someone. They vary to introduce a player to all the different types. Not that the ones you can buy from the droids have much impact anyway. No, but they're better than nothing. The blue things are called Thrantas. A bit like Manta, but not. Cool. Thank you. Helpful. I more meant, like... the strength of the stims varies. So like they've got a variety of different types that buff different stats, but the strength of them 104. Like this is the one that I'm using at the moment. But the previous base had a weaker version, or only had a weaker version of each of these. And I can't tell why it varies. I don't know that it varies because of region. Or like region out from the place you start. And also each planet, like, I was getting this level of thing at the end of Tatooine. So quite why if you're coming here from Tatooine, because that's the way that the levels stack, the intended route. I don't know why you would be getting weaker stims at the start of here than you got at the end of the previous planet, because presumably you'd moved on to the point of the strongest stim of the previous planet being your base standard that's helpful to you. So why would you go back from there rather than forwards? He's being animated with his teeth parting, but I don't think the way that he's speaking, I don't think that he's actually moving his jaw at all. I think he's keeping his teeth together. That's a good question. Haven't thought much about stims and adrenals. Doesn't seem like the devs did either, really, but okay. No worries. That's my kind of fun. Why are you so upset? It's just your daughter. Oh, yeah, that's stupid. Not necessarily. It could have taken until today for the enemy to work out how to imitate her signal to lure someone into a trap. Of course, even if it is a trap, it's me going into it, so it's not going to go their way. But yeah, let's hope that she's alive, and that at least next time she will get some training before throwing herself into a situation like this. Don't use them normally and only use a certain one for the really hard content. Yeah, fair enough. I imagine that stims are like... I can't refuse request after agreeing before. I imagine that stims and adrenals are like potions in other games, fantasy games, and that you need certain powerful ones, probably that you can only get by crafting for the really hard endgame content. Even for hard content, I use them sparingly, consider the bastards are around 650k a piece. Wow, yeah, fair enough. I mean, at least in WoW, when I was playing WoW a few years ago, at least then they had like the very, very good potions that last for an hour, that are really good for your, that really give you a big boost, and then like a potion that's a step behind, and if absolutely necessary, there was a third level of potion that you could take from the previous expansion. So potions to give you boosts for endgame content were like, I could craft them, but I'm super lazy about all that stuff. Well, fair enough. I mean, it's a game. You don't have to be committed to keeping up with like crafting your endgame stuff as though it were a second job. You're here to have fun, after all. We would just buy the wrist. Why do we need to go back down there? You could have called. We've got hollow communication terminals. Fair enough. Yeah, house wrist is down here, isn't it? Oh, that's wrist. I thought that the house down here was wrist. It's also super weird to me that they're spelling it without a W. I just expect it to be wrist, like the bit between your arm and your hand. 90% of SWTOR's conflicts could have been solved by a couple of holocalls. Doesn't surprise me. I'm sure I'll run into more of them. Fire in the landing zone. Urgent. House Organa seeks aid. Imperial hired mercenaries have been spotted smuggling weapons and supplies to House Thull. Thul? These supplies are illegal and highly volatile. Their use on the battlefield could result in major casualties for Organa and Republic forces. House Organa has prepared an aerial strike team to bombard the landing pad and end the Empire's illegal trade, but they require precise coordinates to make a successful attack. Hazard pay is offered to any volunteers able to breach the landing pad's defences and plant the provided beacons. If successful, signal Organa forces through the nearest comm station. House Thull shall not prevail. Yep, I can do that. It doesn't seem like it's even a heroic. So that's fine. Probably need to go this way, don't I? Did I explore the whole of the last zone? Don't remember. The Alderaan Mountains. There's a joke in there somewhere about Alderaan, but I can't quite work out how to make it. That's cool. Is that some kind of aqueduct or road or... other transit system? The first few expansions are pretty bad about that, but once the Eternal Family debauchery TM starts, it's no longer an issue. Oh, good. So the writing improves, does it? Suppose there's a Alderaan Mountain in the Alderaan Mountain range? No, that doesn't. Even that doesn't really give you Alderaan, does it? Maybe we'll come across someone with a stutter. The writing becomes really good at the cost of multiplayer content. Oh, that's a shame. Guess they've got to pick which they're going to focus on, and decided to go with story because it's already a pretty story-heavy MMO, really. What are you? Cath hound. That doesn't look like a hound at all. It looks like an ungulate. Smuggler phase. Okay, not allowed in there. Oh no, need to be over here, don't we? Being paid a violent visit by a Jedi, a bunch of torturers and assassins, is probably one of the better candidates for such a visit. Most deserving, that kind of thing. How are my credits? I should probably deposit some of them, actually. Does anybody know? Are there any MMOs where you really get the feeling that your character, that the enemies are reacting to your character appropriately? Like, this one person has fought their way in through dozens, tens, hundreds of guards, and we can't stop them. We can't really even slow them down, and every single opponent that we send against them gets destroyed. Is there ever a game where enemies react to you as though that was actually what you've been doing? Because it feels like everyone just is unaccountably confident in their ability to take you on, despite all evidence to the contrary. I don't think there is a single game in existence where enemies have a rational sense of fear. Oh, that's a shame. I think there's even been, like, Penny Arcade jokes about this. Like, your character is basically unstoppable. Why aren't enemies reacting as though that's the case? Enemies, by this point, I imagine, well, maybe not. It depends on how big the world is and how big the setting is, and, like, how fast you can reasonably expect word to have travelled about your character. But by the time you start, like... So, yes. So, for example, I don't know that I necessarily could expect all of House Ulgo's forces to know about my character specifically before I reach Alderaan. But I would expect that by this point, having taken on Ulgo's forces down here and repelled help from Empire Sith apprentices and done a bunch down here, I would expect by this point they'd know what I look like and be wary of me and be like, you know, this person, they've taken on a lot of forces by this point. Maybe we should be more cautious. Maybe we should have more guards. At the end of the SWTOR expansions, your character is galaxy known and basically a god in terms of power and survivability, yet simple soldiers still find the will to attack them. Great stuff. Enemies should be doing the... I don't know if you saw... Was it Goldmember? Austin Powers? The last Austin Powers, I think, was Goldmember, wasn't it? With Nigel Powers, Austin's dad. Enemies in games like this should be reacting to your character in the same way that Dr. Evil's henchman reacted to Nigel Powers. Do you know who I am? Do you know how many faceless, nameless henchmen I've killed over the years? Look at you. You don't even have a name tag. You've got no chance. Just put your weapon down and lie down. Yeah. Good. And that should even work for Jedi in this game, because we've got Force Persuade. I know that it doesn't really give you the option of, like, killing enemies to get XP and loot, but you should definitely be able to do something like that in a tabletop RPG with a DM. You should definitely be able to force persuade enemies, or even just persuade them on the basis that, you know, I'm a Jedi, I've killed my way in here. Do you really think that you stand a chance? It'd be nice if you could do that to enemies occasionally in this. Like, why does every commander who you would expect to be the best informed, why do you never get the option of being like, I've just killed my way in here, why don't you put down your weapons? And them going, you know what, you make a strong argument, that's a good point. I think I would rather be in holding cells than dead. So fair enough, off you go. I think there are a few conversations where your character successfully pulls the "Do you know who I am" card. Oh, cool. So I can look. I don't know whether I'll look forward to it as a consular. You would expect someone in the knight continuum to be more able to do that, but hopefully I can look forward to that occasionally with my consular. Fingers crossed. The Sith Warrior has quite a few of them. Well, I mean, that's fair enough. I mean, you would expect a Sith Warrior to be super intimidating and scary. Alright, you're someone I need to free. Who's free captured Organa soldiers? Are there not any more of them? Oh, it's further in. Okay. This is for crisis situation, free Liu Organa. Right, this is the person who was supposed to marry into this house, isn't he? Who was captured. So doing this won't complete a rescue. Doing crisis situation won't complete the servant girl and make me lose out on the bonus. Cool. Okay. Why did Risk kidnap you? House Olgo. Ah. Right, yes. She's started to make efforts towards being a problem. How many more Jedi Masters going evil do I have? Is she the last of them? Or are there going to be 2 more planets to deal with? Or maybe between... what was it? Nar Shaddaa and Tatooine. Wasn't there... or was it... no, it wasn't between... oh shit, was it between Tatooine and Alderaan? No, it wasn't. There was there was a Jedi on a ship causing problems, and you basically just go and visit the ship and talk her down, beat her up, stop her from being a problem. Yeah, that's a problem. If you've got headaches from a fall where you hit your head, you really, really need to see someone about that medical condition, because it means that you've got brain damage. I wonder why they waited until after he was free, but not until after I'd gone on ahead and he was walking slowly. It would be way easier to ambush him if he was lagging behind. Or maybe they've come in after me. Maybe they weren't hanging about waiting. So with the Sith Empire class, well, all the Sith Empire stories, just how much evil are you doing before you get to start making good choices, or choices to be good? Because I imagine that like the missions that you get sent on tend to be fairly evil, like go and kill these people because they're standing up to us, or like go and sabotage the Republic, or go and capture this bounty or kill this bounty because you've been hired to, because they're a political problem or a rival or something. These are shiny tiles, aren't they? They keep this place very clean for a torture house. Although I suppose with the high technology they've got, they don't necessarily have to pull people open, do they? Oh, that's an unfortunate bugger, isn't it? Oh, I need to push the buttons, do I? Been talking to Wrist lately? So was she still on the call then, or not? Weird. It's a lot in how the missions are completed. Also, a majority is just the internal Empire stuff and not necessarily attacking the Republic. Fair enough. But I imagine there's a certain amount of oppression happening inside the Empire. They don't have you, like, squashing rebellions of people who are justifiably angry at the Empire for being knobheads at them. Did I? It's a bit hard to explain, but you can be a good person from the beginning. Okay, I'll give it a try. That's certainly more than I was expecting. I was kind of expecting to, like, be doing stuff on the same level as being a villain in DCUO, or I mean, I didn't play much villain side stuff in City of Heroes, well, City of Villains, and when I did, it was ages ago, so I guess that's not really an experience I can draw from, but I don't think... Well, basically, in games, I don't really like playing the bad character, the bad guy. I don't like making evil choices. That's a long way down, isn't it? Being bad makes me feel bad, and I don't like it. I wonder why they've got track all the way up to there. I mean, you could accidentally be standing in the wrong place and have it go up and crush you. Like that lift scene in the first Tom Cruise Mission Impossible. It's only a really small amount of times where you have to be evil. Oh, fair enough. Basically, I was worried that you would be required by the game to be particularly evil, but if it's not that bad, or that you get a lot of choices to do good, I mean, I suppose you would have to if you've got the same alignment slider. I suppose, given that this goes all the way down here for a Republic side, you have the ability to make choices that will take you all the way down there on Republic side. So the reverse must be true of the Empire side. You must be able to make enough light side choices on the Empire side to get you all the way up here. Otherwise they wouldn't put it in. How's the Empire Operative story in terms of evil? Because whenever I've looked at ratings of the story for different classes, practically everyone says that the Empire Operative is the best story. And you can be suspiciously and comically nice as a Sith. Cool. Do you get options to be polite to people? To be affably evil or faux affably evil? I mean, there's the... Oh boy. The Grand Moff, who you talk to during the first Flashpoint. The Esselis story, and you can be very polite and talk to him about coming over for us. Oh no, you can't say a spot of tea. That's always what I say in response to him, but it's not actually a dialogue option. But you can be very polite and genial with one another, and affably evil, and like being polite whilst being evil always amuses me. You get options to be very pleasant and follow up the pleasantness with either mercy or murder. Cool. I'll give the Sith side a go then. I was staying away from it because, as I said, I don't enjoy playing, making evil choices or just playing an evil character. But if I don't actually have to be very evil at all, then perhaps I will be able to stand it. And maybe I'll be able to extend my gameplay of Star Wars: The Old Republic by playing at least one of the Sith Empire story arcs. Oh, I can't free anymore. Sorry, I've freed 4 of you, and that's enough. Apparently that's all I'm allowed to free. So you're going to have to stay here with the murderers and the assassins and the torturers. Best of luck to you. Maybe someone else will come through. Oh, this is a phase. I wonder why. It's just one room. Maybe it's so that you always get the ability to free the person you're after. Because I imagine it would feel bad if you got all the way down here and someone had beaten you to her and you had to wait around before you could finish. I wonder why this is the same colours and... Is this the same tile set as the interior of House Organa and the Republic Senate building? Are these elements that you see in the Senate just with stone cave walls? I find the Imperial Agent story a bit overhyped, although I understand where it comes from. That's the one storyline where good characters are forced to be somewhat evil and evil characters get forced to be somewhat nice. Okay, maybe I'll stick with playing a Force user if I do a playthrough online, on stream of an Empire side story. I mean, planetary stories are fairly similar regardless, aren't they? You just have certain areas where you just do stories for one pair of classes or another. After you leave your starter planet, I mean, you can actually visit Ord Mantell as a Jedi, but you can't actually do any missions there. Not sure if you're planning on playing the expansions, which I would highly recommend, but after the first few, they only really make sense as a Force user. Oh, fair enough. I was planning on going through as much of the story as I could manage, which appears to be all of it for the Jedi Sage for this character. I wasn't planning on stopping once I'd gotten to the end of the first main release or anything like that. I was going to go as far as I could up to endgame basically. And I was considering after that going on to another game, but you've made the case for playing as an Empire character, and I think I will do it. But now you've said that, it's really interesting that none of these people say anything about my character hanging about here for 5 minutes, staring off into space. You only really need to do the expansions once per Republic Imperial. Yeah, I was thinking you probably wouldn't get very much out of it in terms of story. There's some variation based on what class you are, because, I mean, this, I think... Oh no, this is a group phase. There was another story... There's bits of story all around each of the planets, just for your class, but broadly speaking, you do the same things regardless of Sith Assassin soon. Maybe Sith Assassin, maybe Marauder. Also, welcome, Hawkman. But not soon. I'll be sticking with the Jedi Sage until Endgame, and then moving on to another thing. I prefer to stick with one, complete that, and then move on to another, because otherwise I think I'd lose track of what I was doing. I'd certainly... If I stopped doing this to play another character, I'd forget what I was supposed to be doing. I'd forget my character's motivation and the story of each of the quests that she was on. I have split opinions on Assassins because it's my main DPS class for raiding, but also the story isn't nearly as good as Warrior. Fair enough. Anyway, let's poke these guys. Is that a threat you can make? We've never met. Yep, it was good fun too. Shut up. What can they do through the force field? Okay, well, 2 can play at throwing people around. I don't think you'll like it very much. You idiot girl. Don't know when to quit when you're ahead, do you? Yeah, I have no idea what the story difference is since I never played it. Markman, Assassin Inquisitor is a slave that is inducted into Sith training because of their force sensitivity. Marauder/Warrior is supposedly from a powerful and privileged Sith family line. You weren't keeping him off guard. He obviously didn't care about the ridiculous lies that you were coming out with. I do kind of feel like being cruel to her, at least a little bit. Impossible, you mean? I don't think that that's a dark side worthy point. Yeah, maybe. Maybe you could help behind your side's lines instead of behind the enemy lines. Twerp. It is intriguing to play a character from a privileged background and play as a Sith who actually turns out to be good. But I think it's more interesting to me to play as a slave who's the Sith are trying to force to be evil and can't manage to make their slave be as evil as they want, or really evil at all. Because to me it's like different levels of the Sith Marauder or Warrior. I don't know what the over class is for the pair of them. But the Marauder / Warrior is, if they're from a privileged Sith family, then they've got that privilege to fall back on. Basically, they don't have to be a Marauder or Warrior. Not absolutely. They could retire to being whatever it is that their parents were doing before, like managing the family business or managing the lands or something. I don't know. To be honest, the Inquisitor's voice actor is just perfect for the slightly insane, lightning-obsessed ex-slave, and that makes it very hard to be nice. Fair enough. I mean, I think I'll play each of the archetypes. If only I could use the Force to jump. I've complained about this before. It should be possible, whether you're using the Force or technology, to basically super jump. So even if Bioware allowed Force users to use the Force to help them jump, it wouldn't stop in game. Like, there wouldn't be a balance issue of the non-Force users not being able to do the same thing, because they could do big jumps, but with jetpacks and technology, basically having technology aid them. So I don't really know why they haven't implemented that at all. Warrior doesn't really have privilege to fall back on. If an Imperial is born Force sensitive, it is legally required for them to be trained to die during training. Fair enough. Also, the whole powerful family thing is just vaguely implied if the character in the first chapter, so feel free to ignore it entirely. Whereas the slave thing is constantly in your face. Fair enough. I do like being a rebellious slave that the slave owners are having trouble controlling. But you make another good point about another good case for the Sith warrior. As I said, I'll play one of the classes from each of the 4 archetypes off stream and get an idea of what they're like. I'll probably play to the end of the first planet or to the halfway through the second planet, I guess, for each of them, just to get an idea of how the class plays and what the stories are like and how I like each of them. But a part of me, it does find in a certain appeal. You mentioned before that Inquisitor, Sorcerer, Assassin is certainly not bad either. Don't get me wrong. Cool. What you said before about the later expansions not really making sense unless you're a Force user implies to me that like your character is super powerful and renowned, and it feels a bit odd if they're not a Force user to be as capable and renowned as they end up being, which actually to me makes playing as a non-Force user a little bit more appealing, because it's like you're a trooper or a smuggler or an Empire operative or a bounty hunter, and you're still good enough to be here. Like you're working so hard, you've accomplished so much despite the disadvantage of not being a space wizard. You're actually considerably more legendary than a Force user would be in the same situation, because you're here doing all of this, managing all of these things without the benefit of the Force to help you. That expansion's point also extends to only making sense the best on a Jedi Knight or Sith Warrior. But if you're going non-Force sensitive, Imperial Agent or Smuggler is the way to go. Fair enough. Yeah, I'm a bit of an anti-authoritarian, if you couldn't tell already. So playing as a trooper doesn't appeal to me all that much. Like, I don't really care about being a good soldier, because I understand the need for an organized military and the use. I just personally, I wouldn't be a soldier. I wouldn't be good at it. I'd be too rebellious and anti-authoritarian to just follow orders. I don't do as I'm told, because I'm told to do it by someone in a position of authority. My relationship with positions of authority is pretty tenuous at best. But I guess on the Empire side, you're playing as a bounty hunter rather than a trooper, so it's not quite the same thing in any case. Smuggler in the expansion is pretty great considering you're just a glorified smuggler. Like, you don't even have military training or anything. Yeah, that's true. I mean, I realise that playing until the second planet probably isn't that good of an indication about what a class is like to play, but I think it's probably good enough. And if I've already played those classes Republic side, I should have an idea of how they'll play, right? Because they're basically the same class just reskinned so that they look different. The rotations are the same, aren't they? Also makes absolutely no sense. Basically the same as a Royal Mail deliverer, a driver murdering a literal god. That just tickles my absurdist sense of humour. You're not making a case against, if that's what you're trying to do. Up to second planet is a decent indicator of what's going on, at least for the Force using Imperial classes. Cool. What exactly is it that's indicating? Fire in the landing zone. So I have to find somewhere to place a beacon, or do I just need to be in the area? Oh, I just need to be in the area. Okay. I was looking around for an object to interact with to place the beacon, but I guess I don't need to bother with that. And waiting around won't do anything. I need to do all three of them and then go back to a terminal and call in the strike, don't I? That's just placing the beacon won't call the strike automatically. Bit of a shame. I was hoping to see a little pyrotechnic display, but I'm certainly not trying to discourage anything. I might end up playing as a bounty hunter who's a really lovely, nice person, as much as they can be within the Sith Empire, and who basically ends up, by the end of the expansions, with a reputation better than Boba Fett in the expanded universe and Legends for being impossibly badass. Go away. Why did I suddenly switch to Kaizen just then? What are your companions like as the various Empire side? The bounty hunter is actually quite logical given the expansions, considering they become a Mandalorian legend and all that. Yeah, fair enough. I'd quite like to play as a good Mandalorian as well. Like, all the Mandalorians I've met so far have been villains, just out and out bad guys who you just beat up. There hasn't been any of the more positive, pleasant, good Mandalorian that I know is in the lore, even if not in the films. Agent and Bounty Hunter have extremely meh companions. Inquisitor has quite good companions. Warrior has just slightly better companions. Fair enough. Yeah, I wouldn't say that Kaizen is a good companion, but he's better than Tharan, in my opinion. I've not really adventured with C2N2, but he seems funny at least. if only because he keeps talking like he's only a protocol droid and only looks after the ship. But the fact that you could, if you wanted to, put him in all these dangerous, violent situations and have him be a tank in those situations is amusing to me, although not quite amusing enough to actually do it. Oh, what am I doing? I don't need to... Oh no, there's a terminal. I was going to say I don't need to travel. I don't need to jet bike there. I could shuttle, but actually no, I need to stay out for a little bit further, just so that I can get to a terminal to finish this quest. Oh, don't tell me. It's up on top rather than... Oh no, it will be, won't it? Because that's just the way that this goes. That's not the thing, is it? That's very subjective, though. People have very strong and very split opinions on the Force user Sith class companions. Fair enough. I'll also be playing as a female character, and I won't be romancing any male characters if that comes up. Oh, it is up there. I mentioned it when in my first stream for this, and also in the first stream for my previous games where I created my character, but characters for each of those games. But I'm playing as a female character because I like consuming media where there are kick-ass female characters in the lead, and I don't feel like I consume enough media. I don't feel like there is enough media out there with kick-ass female characters, so when I get the opportunity to make one or to add one, I do so, which is why Guhei is a girl and is kicking lots of ass. It's because I want there to be more media where there are female characters kicking ass, and I have the ability to be the change I wish to see in the world, at least a little bit. If doing any no romance female, Sith Warrior is the best, Imperial Agent second best in my opinion. I'm not against playing as a gay character, a female character that romances female characters, but I think the only times you get to romance a female character the only times that you get to romance a companion regardless of your character's gender is later expansion companions. I would actually say that a female Sith Warrior has the best companion story in the game. Am I required to come up here because there'll be another stage to this, and I'll be going over there and fighting a security droid? Is that what that's about? I mean, it's doubly good that I didn't, that I checked and didn't shuttle out, I suppose. But it's still annoying that the next stage of the mission is up on top of a cliff here rather than down here somewhere. Be nice if that was a little bit clearer. Oh hey, we do get a cutscene. And it's not a pyrotechnic display, it's oh no, that's an Empire shuttle. Ha! Splendid. Which of these two identical options do you want? You could get the Decorated Relic of Serendipitous Assault, which gives you 17 endurance and 5 power, or you could get the Decorated Relic of Focused Retribution, which gives you 17 endurance and 5 power. Healing an ally or performing a damaging attack on an enemy both have a 30% chance to grant power, 30% chance to grant mastery. Ah, that's the difference. Okay. Still doesn't matter. Ooh, level 53. Reverberation increases the critical damage dealt by telekinetic wave, mind crush, and turbulence, and telekinetic gust by 15%. The next time I get something will be 56. And the next time I unlock... well, when I unlock heroics is 59, so that'll be a ways away, won't it? Just to clarify, I meant non-romance companion story, but that wouldn't change as all the companion romances in the game, in the base game, are a bit off. Fair enough. Yeah, I'm not going to be romancing any of the companions from the base game in any case, because they're all opposite gender only. I have a feeling that Tharan is a romanceable option if you're a female. I have a suspicion, if you're a female consular, that Tharan is a romance option, and he's a pretty terrible romance target. He's arrogant and sexist, and I don't know what's going on between him and Holiday, but she's sapient, so, and clearly interested in him, so it would be cruel to romance him out from under her, or away from her. I don't know, under her is quite right, but... but Tharan's not great anyway, like, he's pretty terrible. Tharan is indeed not a romance option because he has Holiday. Oh, okay, fair enough. I thought that the game was implying that... Well, you get options to flirt with him. I thought it was setting up for you to be able to sweep in and replace Holiday, but it's good that you don't. I mean, how much credit can you give the writers if they've written it so that you can flirt with him, but you don't end up being able to romance him? I don't think that you get much credit for that, because that's still kind of a shitty way of interacting with him, in my opinion. If I recall correctly, you get one romantic interaction with Tharan, and then Holiday gets very, very angry and it's over. There are a million times where you can flirt and it goes nowhere. Oh, okay, fair enough. Well, that's good to hear. I mean, why you would want Theron in the first place, I don't know. But, it's good that he's not actually available. I just wish that he'd treat Holiday better. Although I don't think that making Holiday jealous enough to get angry with him so that he starts treating her better is really... Well, that's not the right way to go about it anyway. But that doesn't feel like a good... It wouldn't feel good to do, to manipulate that situation in that way. Male smuggler can and will flirt with anything that has 1 to 3 legs and something between and said legs. Oh, okay. I thought you were going with and no legs if it slithers. But no. Can you, as a male smuggler, flirt with huts? That's pretty icky. But listen, if they're sapient and can understand you and can consent, and you can consent, then okay, I'm 90% sure a smuggler can flirt with a hut at some point. Fantastic. Just that the option's there. Not that I would want to do it myself. But seeing your daughter isn't like seeing the sun. Look at this. Give datapad. Maybe you've got spies inside your side. Oops. That seems a bit contrived, but okay. Well, that's alright. I'll use my force powers to throw them away from me if they decide to try and blow me up. Alright. Bit weird that a medical droid can repair my gear, but okay. I mean, I realise that that's just there for convenience sake, and so that they don't have to have another NPC that's an armour and weaponsmith of every kind. Well, yeah, I've been doing this without my buff, haven't I? Wrong button. There we go. Let's try and remember to apply the buff before I go into combat next time. I did glance down here and think, I wonder why there are enemies down that path. But I guess we find out now. Oh yeah. My character never uses the lightsaber. I don't know why they're getting it out and igniting it at all. But okay. Does Kaizen have much story after Tatooine and finding his father's bones? Or is he basically storied out now? I don't know how wise it is to introduce a lightsaber blade, which is a thing of incredible heat, to an explosive. I imagine it would go off a little bit more energetically than it does when you destroy it in the game. But okay. Oh, my app is no longer connected. That's why I'm not seeing comments from people. That's a pain. I need to reset the app. And maybe have a fiddle with the connection. Could you please connect to something that actually has that will actually work? No, apparently I've done enough. I've only disabled some of the explosives, but apparently that's sufficient. Okay. Oh good, the little red dot is back. That means that the app is connected properly again. Now I should be able to see your comments. They've replaced it. Do you unlock more story from Kaizen if you get his approval level higher? I'm not sure what level he's at the moment. 17. What does it go up to? Is it 20 or something? Don't know if I can really be bothered with... no, I will bother with Theron's story, whatever it ends up being. But I'll complain about it the whole way because he's annoying. Doesn't seem like there was much in here. Oh, she's noticed me. Okay. I did think that would happen. Alright, let's shuttle out. I know it's not far, but might as well. Why would she help? She's already shown that she's not actually any good at this. And is way too overconfident. I know that the app is showing the red dot to indicate that it's connected and online, but is it actually? Oh, good. Good. Cool. Companion story unlocks as you progress your character story. You're being very thorough with each planet, so it might be a while until you get the next chat with Kaizen. Oh, okay. Yeah, I am trying to squeeze as much out of every planet I visit as I can. Is he someone we've met before? I don't remember talking to a Twi'lek. That's a good way to play if you enjoy story. Basically doubles the amount of hours needed to complete a storyline. Yeah, it seems as though I'm somewhat over level for each of the areas I visit now, despite the fact that even as a preferred player, my XP gain is less than it would be if I were subscribed, which is amusing to me. You are comically overleveled. 50 was original max level. Yeah, I thought so. It's a bit odd how it's even possible to be this overleveled, but I suppose it doesn't matter that much when you're being level shifted down to the level of the planet you're on. Where's this taking me? What's that? Bye, John. Maybe I should have jet biked down so that I'd get all of these areas explored. Maybe I'll jet bike up. So there's got to be like 2 or 3 or 4 regions here. Between that base. Oh, it's Ballas. House Ballas. Okay. I thought that was Rist just because it was hostile. We've not actually had to do anything with House Ballas so far. Oops. Is that the weather tower? Oh, I could have shuttled, couldn't I? Oh well. I'm sure it's great for defense, but it's a bit inconvenient that there isn't an easier way in. Good to see people repairing the place, though. Oh. That needs... Surprised that much damage has been done to a wall like that, considering they were being attacked by insect people with what appeared to be fairly... why would they overturn a pot like this? Doesn't seem worth it. It seemed like the Killik were supplied only with very basic blasters. How many other representatives of House Terral even are there? Because there's like you and that dude in the nearby camp and your daughter, and that appears to be it. I'm not going to bother saying that because I don't actually care whether it is a trap or not. I'm fond of springing traps and turning them around on the people who are trying to get the best of me. I would assume that Alderaan houses work the same way as Mandalorian clans, so a family is a house. Yeah, I'm assuming that there's other family members around, like elders and stuff, but you don't actually see any of them. So perhaps I'm being facetious by pretending that the only ones that exist are the ones that you see in the game, but it's fun to do. I'm also now wondering how exactly he manages to get his head through this hole, because it doesn't appear. Maybe there's like a seam here and down the back, and you just kind of slide each piece on and then fasten them and put the gold bit here or down over. But it seems as though it's all one piece, and it just kind of goes over his head and is like a shaped solid piece. Oh well. Oh yeah, I was wondering aloud, but I don't know whether you whether the app was connected at the time or not, or whether you replied or not. But do you know how many more planets there are, and therefore Jedi Masters to rescue before I am no longer rescuing Jedi Masters from the evil madness curse? Because it's stretching believability a little bit that I've done like 4 or 5 so far, and I still have a Sith Lord to defeat after that, and each Jedi Master that I save is supposed to be weakening me somehow, despite the fact that I still have access to all of my powers and my stats are fine. You will stop rescuing them quite soon if I remember correctly. Okay, good. Because, yeah, it was stretching belief a little bit that I would continue rescuing like 3 or 4 more masters and then fight a Sith Lord and defeat them. So where am I going? Here. Okay. Oh, I haven't explored it. I haven't discovered it, so I can't click on the thing on the map. All right. Let's ride. That's not the end of it, though. Don't want to say more, I might spoil it. Well, fair enough. I'm not worried about there being more after defeating Vivicar. It's just that getting to the point of defeating Vivicar is supposed to weaken me significantly, and I'm hoping that whatever it is that I do to Vivicar returns that power to me, so I don't have to keep shielding those masters anymore, so I get my powers back, basically. Whatever power it is that I'm missing. Oh, have I gone the wrong way? Oops. Yes, I have. Why wasn't I paying attention? Come on. It's not that difficult. It is interesting to note that despite not being a subscriber, if you do every quest you can find on a planet, you can still come out ahead of the level that the game thinks you should be at for the content you're doing. So as long as you take your time and you do as much as you can, you shouldn't struggle because your character's not powerful enough. it seems like. Why would a Jedi shoot you? We'd use the Force or lightsaber you. Also, interesting hair choice. That's the hairstyle used by the Gary Oldman Dracula. Oh, that's where I recognise it from. She'll be SIS, won't she? Really? The free-to-play model really is quite fair, unless you're crafting or doing the expansions. Will it get worse when I get to the expansions? Fair enough. I haven't really been doing any crafting either. I haven't picked up any... I haven't decided on crafting skill or skills. You will not have access to the expansions if you've not been subbed before, but subbing once unlocks them all. I'm preferred. I did sub like in November last year, so I will have access to the expansions. Is it something weird like the most powerful crafted gear you can't use? Yeah, that would be weird if you have to be subscribed to be able to wear the most powerful crafted gear. I don't know. That doesn't seem likely though, considering that the game has been pretty fair otherwise. It's inside. It's unlikely, but let's check. Satellite technician. So it might well be in here actually. Or maybe this will be another stage. No, it's not in here, is it? Ooh, he's got something though. Satellite codes. Maybe it is. Let's keep going. It's not that big of a cave. Oh no, this isn't a satellite relay at all, is it? That's an old statue of someone in supplication. Yeah, alright, never mind. I just thought, you know, satellite technicians, a cave with details in it. I thought maybe there was a computer console over here or something, but no. Oh, I thought there was just some kind of weird creature. Basically, you can't level beyond 60 or 70, can't remember, but the limit is exactly that. You cannot use the good gear as a non-sub, even if you're max level. That's a bit troubling. Do you need the absolute best gear to just get through the story? Or can you manage okay? Or, well, not even the best gear, just like gear that you would be getting from rewards for max level. Actually, what is max level? Is it... You will need sub-owner gear for the newer expansions. Okay. Is max level 70 or like 75 or 80 or something? And so not being subbed means that you are, what, 10 levels below max? $75 is max at the moment. Oh, okay. Does it go up by 5 each expansion? Could you sub for a month and turbo level while subbed to get to cap while subbed? Yes, that's what a lot of story players do. Thank you for your insights. They're very helpful. You can equip the good gear while subbed and then keep them as long as you don't take them off. Oh, cool. So it doesn't force you to remove them or anything once you're no longer subbed. That's convenient. I'm at my credit cap. Oh, okay. I should probably go and deposit some then. I mean, it's not like I need to buy anything after all, is it? Max item rating is 306 at the moment, but anything above 270 is fine for the expansions. Cool. I'm familiar with gear having ratings. I mean, I've already noticed that the gear in this has ratings, but playing enough WoW has taught me about gear ratings as well. And actually, now I think about it, there's also gear ratings in DCUO as well. That's how your level... well, that's how you progress beyond max level. Your level doesn't actually increase, but once you're at max level and your gear starts to get scores, the level indicator next to your character portrait changes from showing your level to your gear level, so that you will end up seeing characters. Oh, hey. Archon Nine Fingers Lock. I wonder whether they'll drop anything interesting. Could probably suffer through it on 220 gear as well if you enjoy that kind of stuff. Fair enough. Oops. Maybe I should have put Kaizen on... Oh, that wasn't really worth it, was it? Maybe I should have put Kaizen on tank mode for that, but we managed. Yeah, I'd noticed that gear had a score, I just wasn't sure how high it goes. And also it can't be relevant just yet, because we're not at endgame. So, I hadn't worried about it beyond just liking having higher numbers than before. Because in MMO, big numbers is good. If only we could have had this conversation over Holocom. Stats and item rating are basically irrelevant during the story. Not surprising, unless the big numbers are the damage you're taking. Well, yes, but as long as you can actually take the big numbers of damage and still be there, then that's kind of good, I guess. It indicates that you're doing well. Wouldn't it be most of his way through his career, given how old you are? I know that stats on items and item ratings aren't useful during the story, but it's kind of fun to have high stats, just so that you can kind of squish the opposition, steamroller them. It's the expansions where you sort of need relevant gear, but if you took the given gear during the main story, you will have no issues. Cool, yeah. It seems to be standard that you get good enough gear upgrades just from quest rewards to not need to worry about managing the content as you get to it, which is nice. Which also probably means that what's my gear score? Item rating 128. I guess that actually being at level 53, my item rating should be higher, but I'm using gear that I got as rewards appropriate to the level of the planets I've been on and their max level. So my item rating is limited by the quality of the gear that I've been getting. Like if I'd been doing higher level content, I'd probably be getting higher level gear as a reward. 128 is fine for level 53. Oh, okay, fair enough. Maybe the game is giving me rewards appropriate to my level rather than appropriate to... what are you? Oh, it's Cathound, okay. I wonder if there's a setting to turn off camera shake. It's not very pleasant. Oh, I could have gone straight up. That's annoying. All I could see down here was that this came across here. I don't think that I could really see this leading up. Oh well. I think 156 was the original max item rating. Mob drops and heroic rewards are calculated from your current item rating. Story rewards are predetermined. Okay. So, for better gear, do heroics. And hope to get... I don't think I've really gotten any gear from a mob drop that was an upgrade. At least not since Tython. But good to know that it's possible. And also interesting to learn that it goes from what your current item level is rather than drawing from a table that's generated by the planet you're on and limited by the maximum level. Oh, this is where we need to be. Limited by the maximum level of the planet. That's cool. Because it means that you can just continually get better gear by doing heroics. So you need certain levels to get the best story missions. I'm not sure I entirely follow that line of reasoning. Heroics kind of are story missions. They don't have that much story. It's usually just a little bit of... heroics are generally side missions. They're not really part of your story arc as a character on a planet. Item drop system is extremely convoluted. It's a mixture of 3 systems that have been implemented at different times. Fair enough. If the story missions have a set item level of gear that drops, then the mission has an appropriate requirement. Yeah, that makes sense. Where were they hiding? Just up in the raftery bits. I mean, that makes sense. It's a good place to hide. There's a largely inaccessible, because there are never ladders around in here, are there? I don't know how people are expected to get up. I mean, this is presumably helpful to get up onto this storage rim, but it's double decker beds are not present in every one of these huts. So, like, oh, this person drinks a lot, don't they? That's a lot of liquor. There are never ever like step ladders, stairs, ladders in any of these huts that would indicate how people get up onto these storage rooms. Not sure how it works because I never played SWTOR. Oh man, most missions do not have an item level requirement. There are some with a level requirement, but that's only minimum level, so level 75s can do level 10 missions. Yeah, I've seen people at max level or at much higher level running around on the beginner planets doing things. Could I get... If I went back to Tython and did a heroic there, could I get gear that's an upgrade on this stuff? Because that would be very interesting. Because it would basically mean if you didn't feel like doing any missions or running around doing story stuff for whatever reason, yes, Tython Heroic would give you relevant gear. Cool. Nice to know. Yeah, if you didn't feel like doing story missions for whatever reason, you could just go to each of the planets you'd visited already, do the heroics there, and get up gear upgrades. And I think... Are heroics daily? Do they reset every day? I think they've got a timer on them, a cooldown timer. I'm surprised that pressing some buttons here caused it to explode. You would think that they would build it so that it doesn't have the ability to overload like that. I mean... I suppose technically with the very best computers, you could work out a way on, I suppose, this PC even. Yes, heroics reset daily, but most people do flashpoints for XP and gear, not heroics. Yeah, but the same is true of cross-wiring and electronics. Yes, I don't think that I was cross-wiring anything from here. I thought I was just tapping stuff on a console. And I was exploring the thought that I guess that you could technically... And it also caused an explosion up here, which caused these to get damaged and fall off. Because when I looked up before, this wasn't here. You could technically, on a PC, take off all the safeties and have it run overclocked and make it burn out by running a program that asked too much of it and caused it to overheat. But I have a Jedi Knight that is max level and max gear, but still hasn't received their lightsaber in the story. Really? That's incredible. So you never completed... Hold on. You never completed the bit on Tython where you go to the forge and get your lightsaber. I thought that you needed to do that so you could progress to the next part of the mission. I got the impression that not doing the end of the Tython story arc for the night gated the rest of your story arc or your story missions. You can overclock many GPUs to the point it melts. Yes, but even if you melt your GPU, you're not causing an explosion that would blow the sides off of your case, are you? And it seems weird to me that they would build this in such a way that pieces up here overheat enough that the dish falls off. It'd start smoking. I have not done the story on that character, just flashpoints, ops, and GSF. Oh, okay, so you haven't done the story. That wasn't... You haven't even... You've just done... basically side stuff that's available once your level is high enough. Have you been to various planets to visit, explore, do bits of content on any of them? Or have you just been on, like, the Republic fleet, going around doing what you can do that's accessible from there? Because that's pretty amusing. Your character is still technically a Padawan. Just the most incredibly powerful, overpowered Padawan with the most incredible gear in the galaxy. That character has been on some of the other planets, mostly the ones where ops start or end. Like Anakin. Not quite like Anakin. Anakin didn't stay a Padawan. He was a knight. He just wasn't promoted to the rank of master, despite being on the council. Oh, we need to come up here. Okay. I won't explore the whole of the region because we need to continue over this way, but it's good to have bits of it explored now at least, or more than I had before. I think Anakin would have been justifiably salty if he had remained Padawan rank the entire time. I think that would be enough to make it seem reasonable that he runs off and joins Palpatine. And now I'm just thinking about Anakin giving... oh, geez, what's the name of the comedian who used to go... whose main shtick was, I got no respect, I tell you, I got no respect, no respect. Was it Happy... No. Was it Happy Gilmore? That doesn't sound right. Rodney Dangerfield. That's the dude! Rodney Dangerfield. Why did I think Gilmore? Happy Gilmore is an Adam Sandler flick from '96. That's completely wrong. Rodney Dangerfield. Yeah, that's the one. Now I'm just thinking about Anakin, a Padawan, all the way up until the third film, giving Rodney Dangerfield no respect lines. With a cigar. Oh, sorry. We're in Star Wars, so it's a death stick. Special brown Havana Planet death stick. Things seem pretty bad for the House Organa security agency if they've got a woman as old as her out on field maneuvers? She should be somewhere safe training people. Sus Vortpool, the Keeper of Truth. Level 68. Jedi Sentinel. Cyborg. I wonder how Ewan McGregor's polite, sarcastic British Obi-Wan would have interacted with a Rodney Dangerfield Anakin. They probably would have gotten on better, to be honest. Sylvan Hills. I thought that said Sylvanus Hills. I was like, hold on a minute. That would have been interesting. Sort of an unstoppable force meets immovable object situation. Yeah. Kyle on the Science YouTube channel. Oh, geez, what's it called? I'm terrible with names. Why am I terrible with names? That's science? That doesn't sound right. Someone on a YouTube channel, a science YouTube channel, reasoned out what would happen if an immovable object met an unstoppable force, and his logic, his logical endpoint was that they would phase through one another, because an unstoppable force and an immovable object basically are the same things, assuming that they work within a physics framework. Because even if an object appears to be stationary, it is still technically moving through space, because the planet is spinning and it is also moving around, it is orbiting the sun, and the sun is moving through space, so anything moving around the sun is also moving through space. So nothing in the universe is stationary. Even if it appears as though the planet is stationary underneath you, it is still in motion. And so any object that is an unstoppable force is also an immovable object, because you cannot affect its momentum. So basically they're the same thing, and if they intersect and neither is stoppable, which means that neither will obliterate the other, or they will not self-obliterate one another when they interact, because they cannot be stopped. Obliteration would be stopping them. They would simply phase through one another and continue on in the directions that they had been going. Because Science. Kyle Hill. That's the dude. I'm pretty sure he's got an episode on unstoppable forces and immovable objects. His presentation style might not be your thing, which is fair enough. But I quite like him. I can't find it with a cursory search, so maybe I was wrong. Or maybe it was part of an episode where he just tackled a bunch of write-in questions and didn't do a full episode on it. Not me. Refuse request. Kyle Hill is quite good. I've seen some of his stuff. Yeah. He's got quite a high energy, kinetic sort of presentation style, and it presumably is not to everyone's taste, but yeah, I like him. And the editing style and the way that the graphics are done might not be to everyone's taste either, but again, I quite like him. So, a cursory search that I can't be bothered following up on whilst I'm in the middle of a stream doesn't show he has an episode dedicated to unstoppable forces and immovable objects, but either it's someone else or it is him, and he tackles it as part of like a compilation show where he takes 2 or 3 or 4 questions from viewers and reasons out the answer to those questions, which would make it more difficult to find. Or you could just search for Science Unstoppable Force meets Immovable Object and probably get a video that explores the idea. For their compassion. Urgent. House Organa seeks aid. With House Thul's assistance, the Empire has established a base on Alderaanian soil. Imperial forces now occupy an ancient ruin in the mountains. Our spies report these forces are led by Sith commanders. House Organa cannot fight a war on 2 fronts. We urgently request willing and capable volunteers to infiltrate this base, defeat the Sith, and stop this Imperial menace. Hazard pay is offered to those who survive the battle. For House Organa! Yeah! To those who survive the battle is a bit... some of you may die, but that is a sacrifice I'm willing to make. It's not really a good look for House Organa. Probably leave off the survive the battle. Hazard pay is offered for those who complete this assignment would probably be better. Less defeatist. Oh, there's a story. There's a exploration mission over here. Complete this assignment has a different meaning than survive this assignment, though. Yes, but you can't complete the assignment if you haven't survived it. Well, I suppose you can, technically. But you can't claim a reward if you haven't survived it. So saying that there's a reward for people who complete the assignment is basically the same thing as saying you need to survive the assignment to claim the reward. Yeah, that's pretty bad. They're placing a lot of faith in my abilities, aren't they? Like, it's not misplaced. I'm not arguing that, but she believes that I can do what all of her troops cannot manage. Aside from the fact that she can't move the troops from defending this place, even if she had the same number of troops to send at the problem, apparently I'm at least as capable of all of them, if not more so. Which, I mean, I am, but as I said, that seems like an awful lot of faith to be placing in someone that she does not know personally. I mean, presumably she's heard reports about me. What's this about? Oh, right, yes. Install the data spike. Get on the shuttle. Go to the... summit location. You're a Jedi. That's like one step up from being a superhero. I guess that's true. I am basically a space wizard. And depending on whether you believe legends or whether you are just on regular canon now, legends Jedi and Force users in general basically are better than superheroes in most cases. We've met this species before, but I don't remember the name of it. Apparently, they've got members of the species who train specially to kill Jedi. I don't feel great about invading people's minds with the Force, but it always is the non-violent solution to the problem. So if it means that they don't get surly and belligerent and I have to kill them, if I can avoid killing them, then that's better. But it's still not great that I have to invade their minds. It's a bit weird. Do they not have quite the right gradient of stairs for this location? And so they've needed to tilt the stairs so that what's supposed to be perfectly horizontal is actually on a slight incline backwards. With Legends, you get more variation in Force users. Some just strong enough to throw rocks, others strong enough to absorb the energy from a lightsaber. Canon is more, you got it or you don't. Yeah. I was talking about the more incredible Force users in Legends, like Luke, or well, the Skywalker family, or Palpatine. Although, I wonder whether Genndy Tartarovsky's Clone Wars animation is Legends or whether it's still official. Because Mace Windu in that is pretty incredible, considering how he takes on the droid army on that one planet. Oh yeah, Luke is just absurdly strong in the original EU books. Yeah. I mean, I haven't read any, but I have seen the ripples in Fanon, basically. Original Clone Wars and 3D Clone Wars are both Legends. Oh, that's a shame. Mess Palpatine is almost as strong as her grandfather. Yeah, apparently, according to the films. No, you don't. And silly gloves, apparently. Force persuade, no more war. Fix things. That's a bit of an assumption. Yeah, that's not going to happen. Interesting that now that we're out of the cutscene, she's stopped using the incredible force powers, eh? Bugger Parkanus. Oh yeah, Vivicar's the bad guy, isn't he? My pleasure. Kill her. I got confused between Parkanis and Vivicar. I assumed that Parkanis was the... Yeah, I thought that Parkanis was the Sith, which might end up being the case anyway. That's usually how these things go. But I didn't actually mean Bugger Parkanis. I meant Bugger Vivicar. I'm going to flop over now. Oh no, managed to keep my feet. I stuck my fingers in your ears, wiggled them around, and now you can no longer receive communication. You can no longer receive broadcasts from Vivicar. Either Vivicar is Parkanis, or Vivicar is one of the other people who was at the planet and blames everyone else for Parkanis' death. Pretty sure Vivicar is male, but... Yeah, we've talked to Vivicar, haven't we? On Holocom. I think there are ways around that, but I don't know why the story would bother with that deception. Dismantle House Orgo. I don't know and I don't care. Kind of impressed that my character was able to force persuade 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 presumably decently competent diplomats. Maybe they're diplomats. These are the bad guys, obviously. Ulgo, Thule, and Wrist. And then Cortez, maybe neutral. Ballas, Alde, Organa are supposed to be the good guys. They're in blue and white and gold, and the baddies are in purple and green and red, although he's in a sort of burgundy colour as well, isn't he? Oh well, that's enough. Wonder if I can mount up. Oh, I can't. On this snowy mountain top in the ruined temple, it would be the height of bad manners to mount up on a jet speeder, apparently. Off to bed now. 1 AM is too late for me. Fair enough. I'm almost finished. So 1 AM. You're 2 hours ahead of me. That's somewhere in East Europe, or maybe the east of Africa. Yeah, I'm just heading for here. I suppose I could have shuttled, couldn't I? I'm just heading for here, and then I'll log out and end the stream. Okay, that's it for today. Thank you for coming by and watching and sticking around. I hope you've enjoyed. I will be back on Wednesday, around about 8 PM GMT. Between now and then, I'll be putting this up on my YouTube, Vanilla Jester Gaming. And you can also find me on Twitter, @Vanilla Jester. I'll tweet just before I go live next time. You can also message me with questions or share memes if you feel like it. Anything you want, really. I hope to see you again. I hope to see you on Wednesday. Whether I do or not, I hope to see you again. And until I do, I hope you have a good time, and goodbye.